Grandpa plans to divide his estate per head. My mom keeps pushing me to marry Selena, but she claims she's anti-marriage. I felt cornered and whispered to Selena, Mom says if we don't get married, she's setting me up on blind dates. What do you think? Should I go? Selena sounded impatient. Do what you want. Go if you feel like it. My heart felt like it was in a freezer. On our engagement day, Selena burst into the hall and pulled me to go with her. William, I've got the wedding all planned out. Come with me. Vivien held on to me and joked, Miss Selena, you can't come to the wedding and take my husband away. Grandpa believes in having more kids for a bigger blessing. We, the grandkids, are free-spirited and just not into getting married or having kids. Grandpa declared his estate would be divided per head. The more people, the more you get. My uncle's family got ahead. Their daughter-in-law is expecting. My mom won't lag. She urges me to marry Selena and, better yet, have twins. She's all up in my face. Did you talk to Selena? What's her response? When's the wedding? The sooner, the better. I'm satisfied with that girl, Selena. Our families get along well, you know. You guys have been together for 5 years. Should have been married by now or I'd have grandkids already. William, are you listening? My head felt like it was going to explode, and I could only mumble. Yeah, I got it. I awkwardly asked Selena, you've heard, right? My grandpa's pressuring us to marry, offering a per-head estate division. My mom wants the wedding by year's end. Selena smirked a little, with a hint of sarcasm. Your family has what, like 30-something members? Adding a few more won't get you much. Her words left me silent. Divided, it might not even cover 2 big goals. For her, it's nothing. But I couldn't help but ask, can you just help me out here? We could just get the papers, skip the ceremony. Selena was blunt. Can't help you. I'm against marriage. I was fidgeting and nervously said, well, if I don't sort this out, Mom's setting me up for blind dates. Selena frowned, getting a bit annoyed. Do what you want. Go if you want to. Even though I expected this, hearing it still felt like a stab to the heart. Our buddy Mike invited us to his place. During the gathering, he announced we're getting married. Everyone snapped out of their shock and clapped, congratulating him. I joked with Mike, weren't you against marriage? Mike glanced at his fiancée, eyes sparkling. What's that saying? If a woman really loves you, she'll be eager to marry. I just casually proposed, and she was up for it. Mike covered his mouth, laughing with happiness. Amid the laughter, I glanced at Selena. She stayed stoic, seemingly immune to the idea of marriage. After dinner, Selena played games on the couch. I sat beside her, mindlessly scrolling. Mike brought over a catalog. What's this? My wedding plan book. We flipped through, admiring the sweet, romantic designs, making me envious. William, we're best friends. Why not have a joint wedding? You'll need one sooner or later anyway. We both looked at Selena. She didn't seem to have heard and kept gaming, not even lifting an eyebrow. Mike nudged her. Miss Selena, we're talking to you. Selena finally looked up, her lips slightly curling but with distance. They're playing ball outside. I'm going to watch. Putting her phone away, she went to the garden golf course. Mike and I watched her leave. Still doesn't want to marry. Huh? I sighed and nodded. Mike was at a pre-wedding dress fitting and asked me to check it out. Slowly, the curtain opened. Mike's fiancée emerged in a white gown, glowing under the lights. Mike grinned, his eyes lit with joy. Dear, why are you crying? You look breathtaking in that dress. I'm so overwhelmed. I stood there, wondering how Selena would react to seeing me moved by her in a wedding dress. Mike poked me. I picked some suits for you to try. Go on. I'm not getting married. What's the point? I know what you're thinking. Go on, try it. Maybe Selena will see my fiancé in a gown and get a sudden urge to marry. Acting reluctant, I was actually thrilled. Coincidentally, Selena messaged to meet for dinner. I shared the bridal shop address. As she arrived, I was busy picking her a gown. Excited yet anxious, I imagined her reaction. Holding a chosen gown and flowers, the curtain inched open. Through the slits, I saw Selena half immersed in her phone's glow. Even in that faint light, her features stood out. She sensed my gaze, slowly lifting her head, meeting my eyes full of admiration. Her pupils flickered, admiring the gown. I whispered, "Does this look good?" She smiled softly, "It's nice." Mike teased, "If you like it, try it on and get married." Selena didn't bite. Her smile faded as she turned. "Put it away. I'll wait outside." Awkward silence descended. I felt the fool on a stage trying to entertain with little return. Finding a way out, I said, "Sure, just a moment." Later, Mike texted me about Selena's stance. Why not propose on her birthday next month? If she says yes, great. If not, move on. I didn't reply, but his idea got to me. It was time for my heart's anchor to drop. The next day, I rushed to a jewelry shop, aiming to buy matching rings to propose to Selena. But nothing satisfied me. Our rings had to be unique. Suddenly, I thought of Vivien, a childhood friend. Her family business dealt in jewelry, mostly overseas. She went abroad after high school for jewelry design studies. I had seen her design drafts before. They totally blew me away. But after she went abroad, we lost touch. This was the first time I called her since she left, not even sure if I'd get through. The phone rang a few times and then connected. I cautiously asked, "Is this Vivien?" There was a pause, then I finally heard, "Yeah." I sighed in relief, afraid I had dialed the wrong number. "It's William. Do you remember me?" Her voice was smiling. Could I forget? Her familiar tone eased my nerves, and it felt like reuniting with an old friend. "I need your help designing some wedding rings," I said. Vivien's voice cooled. "Getting married?" Thinking of Selena's attitude, I felt a bit guilty. Maybe. With Selena? Maybe. She chuckled lightly. "Is there any other option?" Her laughter grew. "Don't worry. I'll get it done in a month." At the pool hall, Selena was aiming, pulling back, and hitting right on target. Her stance was perfect. She was calm and collected. Gina walked over with a cue in hand. "Miss Selena, did you hear? William's family is planning to split the inheritance by headcount." Selena didn't look up, just kept aiming. "What's it to me?" Gina chuckled, resting the cue on the ground. "Aren't you afraid William will pressure you to marry him? My sister said she saw him picking up rings at a jewelry store yesterday." Selena laughed. "Your sister must have been mistaken. Would William go buy jewelry elsewhere?" "True, their family deals in jewelry. He wouldn't buy outside unless he's hiding it from his family." Gina teased, "Honestly, if William does pressure you, would you agree?" Selena rubbed the Q-tip. "William knows I'm against marriage. He understands." Gina's expression shifted slightly. "If he understands, he wouldn't pressure you. Then who are the rings for? Now that William's grandfather is pushing all the grandsons hard, did William find someone else?" Selena shot Gina a sharp look. Gina playfully slapped her own mouth. "I'm just babbling nonsense. William's loved you for years. No way he's moved on. Tomorrow night, William might surprise you big time." After being with Selena, I've always organized her every birthday. This time, since I planned to propose, everything was extra grand. Everyone there exclaimed, "Feels like we've crashed a wedding." I was dressed sharply today, looking my best. Whoever saw me couldn't help but compliment me. With Selena by my side, we greeted guests like a couple in sync. During the birthday speech, I couldn't hide my excitement, my voice trembling a bit. I've had a crush on Selena since childhood. To stand by her side all these years makes me feel lucky. I hope we can always be together in the future. As soon as I finished, friends cheered and clapped. I shyly glanced at Selena. She smiled slightly. That smile gave me the courage. I'm giving Selena a special gift I've been preparing. I hadn't finished when a guy rushed in, hugged Selena, and started kissing her cheek. It was Tim, Alan's friend's grandson. He and Selena were close since they were kids. Seeing Tim, Selena playfully ruffled his hair. "When did you get back?" He pouted, "Just got off the plane and came straight to you. Tired of missing you so much." Mike stepped up to pry him away. "Come on, quit messing around." To break the tension, everyone continued from my speech. "Gift, gift." I slightly tightened my smile and took out the present from my bag. Gina stretched her neck to see. "What's in such a small box? A ring, maybe?" Her words spiked everyone's curiosity. They all looked intently at the small box in Selena's hand. Selena paused, then slowly opened the red box. Inside was a car key. I had ordered Selena a new sports car. The moment she saw the key, her smile faltered, brow inexplicably knitted, a hint of surprise and disappointment. The look she gave me was hard to read. I forced a smile. "Do you like it?" Selena's lips curled slightly. "I do." As I stepped off the stage, Mike grabbed me. "What happened?" Because of the earlier disruption, I swapped the rings with car keys. Looking at Selena, Tim was clinging to her arm. Mike noticed too. Tim was always my nightmare. Selena always said she only saw him as a brother, but they were too close for my comfort. I brought it up a few times. Selena said I was overreacting. Once Tim left the country, I finally felt at ease. But now he's back, clinging to Selena again. An overwhelming helplessness hit me. Facing their direction, I said to Tim, "Do you really think there's a point?" Just as I reached the door, Selena stopped me. "Where are you going?" I stared at her. "My mom called just now, told me to go on a blind date like I mentioned last time." "Should I go?" Selena's grasp faltered as she smiled. "Go if you want." No pleading to stop me. "Fine." Trying not to look pathetic, I straightened up and walked away, telling myself over and over if Selena just called out, I'd stay. But all I heard behind was Tim calling out to Selena, as if declaring his victory. With no way to turn back, I quickened my pace. On the way, Mom kept calling non-stop. When I finally got to the hotel, she dragged me to meet my date. Outside the private room, Mom held my hand tight, speaking earnestly. "Your buddy's got his wedding date set. The son-in-law's ready. Don't fall behind." Seeing my reluctance, she started comforting me. "I know you like Selena, but she doesn't do marriage. Are you planning to drift along forever? Even if you want it, it's not always going to go your way. There's no real connection between you two. With her status, plenty of guys are lining up. You don't even have a marriage certificate, so what are you going to fight with?" Opened the door to the private room. There stood a woman gazing out the window casually. She looked familiar no matter how I looked. My mom's face lit up with a big smile. "This is Vivien. You used to play together when you were kids. Don't you remember?" Suddenly it clicked. She was Vivien. I remember her being shorter and not as striking. She's really grown into quite a beauty. My mom gave me a look. "You two haven't seen each other in ages. Have a nice chat." I sat down across from Vivien, fidgeting under the table, lowering my eyes, feeling slightly awkward. Last month, I was all set on ordering rings from her, and now here I am for a blind date with her. It's a bit much. My mom loves meddling. I tried to sound casual to ease my embarrassment. Vivien nodded and smiled at my words. Sensing the tension eased, I searched for topics. "When did you get back?" "Yesterday." "Back yesterday and a date today? Just a coincidence." "Your mom needed a dating partner, and I happen to have no boyfriend." I chuckled. "Quite the coincidence. Feels like we hit a dead end." I glanced at the menu and asked, "What do you want to eat?" Vivien glanced at the menu. "I want the iced cake from across our high school." I perked up. "I want that too." We quickly headed to the little store across from our school and ordered 2 servings of that cold cake. I always loved eating it back in school, but Selena never liked it. She doesn't like these sticky, sweet treats. I asked casually, "Do you like it? I thought you didn't like sticky stuff." Vivien stirred her dessert. "A friend really liked it, so I kind of do too." I took a bite and the sweet taste seemed to refresh my parched heart, feeling relaxed. "This friend seems special to you." "Huh?" I watched her curiously. Vivien glanced at me. "Yeah, quite special." My emotions were all over the place. Why couldn't Selena be influenced by me even a bit? I couldn't help but murmur, "I love it, but Selena doesn't." Thinking of Selena, I rummaged through my bag for my phone, checking if she contacted me. While digging in, the ring box fell out and rolled to Vivien's feet. She followed the box with her eyes, picked it up, and handed it back to me. I held it tight in my hand, trying to act casual. I opened it, admiring the beautiful rings. "Your design is amazing. How did you decide on wave patterns?" Vivien looked at the rings and smiled. "You like waves." "I like waves?" Realizing I misspoke, I suddenly went silent. Vivien hid her face, her shoulders slightly shaking as if laughing uncontrollably. "Hey, what's so funny?" I was feeling a bit guilty. She saw my awkwardness and calmly said, "Not funny at all." "Really?" Then suddenly bowed her head, her shoulders shaking with laughter again. By the time I got home, it was pretty late. My mom was still on the sofa scrolling through TikTok. Seeing me, she started her barrage of questions. "How did it go with Vivien?" I plopped down on the sofa. "Mom, Vivien lives abroad. She's just visiting family and will leave soon. What do you think we could do? Move abroad?" My mom would never agree to me moving away, so she didn't press further. She switched tactics. Then talk things over with Selena seriously. "Tomorrow night's family gathering at S Hotel. Make sure she comes." As I headed to my room, she reminded me again. "Everyone will be there, and if she doesn't show up, it'll be embarrassing for us." Flipping through my phone restlessly in bed. It's been 5 hours since I left Selena. No calls or messages from her, even though I mentioned I was going on a date. I knew she cares, she just doesn't think I would actually leave her. Checking my social feed, everyone seemed quiet. Given tonight's plan, it should have been lively. They couldn't be this quiet. Unless they sensed the tension between Selena and me and excluded me from their stories. Only Tim's feed seemed visible to me. A bunch of his and Selena's close selfies, and them dancing intimately in videos. I know Selena sees him as a little brother, but I dislike their lack of boundaries. Yet where could I possibly find a girlfriend now? Despite myself, I texted Selena, "Tomorrow night at S Hotel, can you join me for a dinner gathering?" I added to ease the pressure, just a family dinner, nothing else. Waited long without a reply from Selena. Instead, Vivien messaged me, "I arrived." I wasn't in the mood to respond. Sent her a moon emoji, meaning good night. I thought a quick emoji would end the convo. At least that's how it is for me and my friends too. Surprisingly, she replied, "Good night." Seeing her message, a smile crept on my face. Selena didn't reply, even as the family dinner started. Her spot next to me remained empty. I thought about calling, but I knew she saw the message. Not replying means she doesn't want to come. Calling would only make me look desperate and pathetic. Bob was busy texting and laughing with his new girlfriend. Looking up, he said, 5 years of persistence and still no dice with the princess? Heard she's all anti-marriage. Thought it was a rumor. Guess not. Really can't picture who you'd marry if not her." Bob's words stabbed at my heart like knives. My mom walked up with a smile, elbowed me, and asked, "When's Selena coming? We're about to eat." Seeing my lips sealed tight, she said seriously, "Selena wouldn't stand you up, would she?" She frowned and urged me, "Call her quickly." The family dinner was about to start, and if Selena didn't show, I'd be in big trouble with mom and would get laughed at by relatives. I almost pleaded as I texted Selena, "Please, just come once, just this one time." Selena got William's text and seemed really annoyed too. She'd been upset since she saw William's car keys at the birthday party yesterday. She thought William might propose to her there, and she'd even imagined countless polite ways to say no. But when he didn't give her a wedding ring, it strangely left her feeling uneasy. If William wasn't giving her a ring, who was he giving it to? Her discomfort grew when William mentioned a blind date. She knew what going to William's family dinner meant. She wasn't into marriage, so she didn't want to go. But seeing William's message, she couldn't just ignore him. She knew that if she didn't go this time, William, being the way he is, wouldn't chase after her again. With the way his mom was, she'd definitely find him a good match. Just thinking about William becoming someone else's groom made her feel this indescribable heaviness. She stepped out of her race car, took off her helmet, and started walking away without realizing it. "Selena." Tim called out to her from the other side with reluctance. Tim ran towards her but got pulled back by someone else. Furious, Selena sprinted over and began fighting with that person. She had seen Tim crying and that person pulling him roughly. That person must have bullied Tim, her brother, so she showed no mercy. They fought, ending up in the hospital and then at the police station. It seemed like Selena had already forgotten all about William. My grandpa sat down, his sight drifting to the empty seat beside me. "William, Selena still isn't here? I was looking down at my phone, waiting on Selena's answer. My mom reminded me your grandpa's asking you. Call Selena and see where she is. Panicking, I flipped through my phone and noticed Tim's latest social media post. Tim's caption read, Selena, it's so good to have you around. My grandpa asked again, William, where's Selena? I jumped up. No way was I calling Selena now. Even if I had to grab a random stranger, it wouldn't be her. My mom asked, what are you saying? I mumbled, not Selena. I'd rather pick anyone else. Anyone but Selena. I scrolled through my phone as I headed out, mentally running through my options for a stand-in. In the hallway, I spotted Vivien. William? She called softly. It was like a lifeline. I grabbed her arm and pleaded, help me. Vivien told me to wait a moment, then followed me to the private room. As we walked in, all eyes were on us, with everyone surprised. Vivien apologized, sorry, I'm late. Got held up. She headed straight for my grandpa. Close up, he seemed confused. I told him, this is Vivien. Mom chimed in, Dad, remember? Sam's granddaughter? Grandpa lit up with a laugh. Oh yeah, used to cry when William bullied her. A bit embarrassing. He eyed us, so what's going on? Vivien looped her arm through mine. William asked me to join. Mom quickly responded, Vivien, have a seat over here. Vivien nodded, sure. At the door, a distinguished couple in their 50s walked in. These were Vivien's parents. They greeted Grandpa, and Vivien's dad spotted me and chuckled. William, you remember me? I nodded, yes, sir. He pointed at Vivien, you two put frogs in my fish tank and got my arowana eaten. Remember? And Vivien got a spanking for it. They laughed, recalling how Vivien took the blame to save me from trouble. As kids, we all feared him. Their reminiscing was awkward. Turns out those spankings weren't in vain, he said. Now you're seeing the light. Everyone got it and generously chuckled. Vivien's family ran a jewelry business overseas, and we were keen on international ties. If marriage were an option, we'd choose Vivien over Selena any day. Vivien's folks left for another dinner party, leaving Vivien with us. In one fell swoop, it felt like a semi-official family introduction with everyone quite pleased. Grandpa was satisfied, and Mom was proud. The only unhappy one was Bob. Being close in age, he often compared himself to me. He was sure I'd fail with Selena's no-marriage policy. But Vivien swooped in, way better than his startup CEO girlfriend, and he was divided, shooting me a glare. After dinner, I took a walk by the river with Vivien. The sticky heat was suffocating, but walking by the river felt refreshing. I crossed my arms and chuckled. Did your dad really hit you twice? Did you really take a beating for me? Vivien smiled. It was just 2 slaps on the palm. I glanced at her palm. Did it hurt? Vivien hesitated, then extended her palm, teasing, it wouldn't hurt if you could rub it for me. Under the streetlight, Vivien's eyes sparkled. She seemed to be expressing her feelings and testing my reaction. Thinking about how well things were going, why shouldn't I agree? It's what I want, right? I raised my hand to meet hers just as my phone rang. It was Selena. Selena's anxious voice came through. William, I got caught up with something. I'm heading over now. I sighed, there's no need. The gathering's over. Are you okay? I'm all right. Silence fell between us. Finally, I broke it. Today at the family dinner, I had someone with me. So I won't force or push you anymore. Selena, let's break up. I hung up and blocked her, severing the last tie with her. Vivien was standing a couple of meters away, her back to me. Seeing her confused back, I couldn't resist wrapping my arms around her from behind, like a couple would. Vivien was startled, then smiled gently at me. Let's get you home. You had some drinks, so it's my turn to take you home. The news about me and Vivien spread through our circle like wildfire. No prize for guessing it was Bob's handiwork. I was driving when Mike called, eager for gossip. William, what's up with you and Vivien? Rumor is you've moved on from Selena. I glanced at Vivien in the passenger seat, lost in thought as she stared out the window. I brushed Mike off exactly how they say, I'm driving, need to hang up. Vivien whispered, is it true for you that good news doesn't go beyond the door, while bad news travels far? I chuckled, I don't think it's bad news. You're my top choice, right? Vivien's voice was relaxed. Are you planning to give me a proper title? I glanced sideways, speaking softly. The parents have met. It wouldn't be proper not to make it official. Vivien lowered her gaze, chuckling. The slanting streetlight cast a warm glow on her face, different from Selena's elusive aura. Vivien used to be part of our group before. This time, her return caused quite a stir, and some organized a hangout. It was awkward when we arrived at the club, me trailing behind Vivien. Unexpectedly, Gina asked right away, Vivien, flying solo? Heard you got a boyfriend now, where is he? Vivien smiled without responding. Just then, I entered and caught Selena in the middle, elbows on knees, frowning deeply, obviously annoyed. My presence drew everyone's attention. Selena slowly stood, watching me deeply. I stood beside Vivien as everyone's eyes jumped between the three of us, ready for drama. There's no avoiding it. I exchanged a look with Vivien when Selena called me, William, come here. She stretched out her right hand, bandaged from an injury for someone else. Her voice was low. I really got caught up yesterday. I'm sorry. I'll think about getting married. I remarked, but you're not into marriage. She pursed her lips, compromising in a way she never did before. I'd consider it for you, just come over. I hesitated, meeting Vivien's gaze. She lowered her eyes with a fractured smile, masking a heartache reflecting years of solitary persistence for me despite all her wounds. She subtly curved her lips and mouthed, go ahead. In that moment, I truly understood overwhelming love. She could drop her pride for me. If I went to Selena, she'd be a laughingstock, yet she wouldn't mind if it's what I wanted. She could also quietly support me, entering and exiting my life as needed, so long as it was for my good. Empathy led to feelings. I've been hurt. How could I do the same to her? A warmth and courage surged through me. I took Vivien's hand. I'm not feeling well. Let's go home. Together, Vivien and I headed out. William. Selena's pained voice trailed us. William. I'm not breaking up. Her voice cracked with emotion. I didn't turn back, just wanted to leave. Outside the club, Selena grabbed my arm, separating me from Vivien. I swear, yesterday was just an accident. I smirked as I pried her fingers off. An accident? I told you about the dinner a day in advance. Where were you? At the racetrack. And with whom? Tim. Racing mattered more. Fighting for Tim was a priority. How do I rank in your life? You wanted me to date others, so I did. Now, you expect me to run back whenever you want. Not everything goes your way. I flicked away her last finger and left resolutely, catching up with Vivien in the car. As I sat, I muttered, why didn't you wait for me? Vivien watched Selena running towards the car. I don't want to sway your decision. She turned to look at me, gripping my hand as I was fastening my seatbelt. William, I'll give you 3 seconds to decide. Do you want to get out of the car? If you don't get out now, you'll never have a chance to get out of my car again. I joked. Being so fierce now, you were acting so gentle just now. Finally showing your true colors? Vivien looked annoyed. I'm a woman too. I have possessiveness. I get jealous. Selena tapped on the car window, signaling me to get out. Vivien glanced outside and asked, your last chance, are you getting out? I said firmly, no, I'm staying in your car. Vivien raised an eyebrow, hit the gas, leaving Selena behind. To my surprise, Selena started chasing the car like crazy. Watching her fading figure in the rearview mirror, I saw her get further and further away. Vivien glanced at me sideways. Heartbroken? I touched my chest, smiled faintly. Nope, heart's not hurting. Feel free to check. Vivien's lips curled slightly as she pulled over to the side of the road when Selena was completely out of sight. I was puzzled. Why stop? She unbuckled her seatbelt and leaned toward me. What did you say just now? I was confused. What did you want me to check? Suddenly realizing, I shrank back a bit, awkwardly asking, are you being serious? With a bit of irritation, she asserted, I'm not a fan of just talking. Vivien's hand really did cover over, and her other hand held the back of my head. William, from now on, you're mine. Then what? Her damp lips enveloped mine, as she kissed me repeatedly and intensely, making me hold my breath. Her scent filled my nose and mouth. Even my heart seemed to beat in unison with her rhythm. After a chaotic kiss, she finally stopped. She straightened the clothes she had crumpled, then started the car again. I looked deeply at her, reflecting on why I hadn't noticed her when I was younger. When I think about it, Selena was like a dazzling bright sun, always capturing my attention, pulling me into pursuit. But Vivien was like the little night lamp quietly accompanying me, always providing light right when needed, yet easy to overlook normally. Vivien is a woman of action. The very next day, she accompanied her parents to my house for a proposal. She said she had a project in the country and planned to settle there after marriage. I knew she was considering my feelings. When my mom heard I wasn't going abroad, she was relieved, and the more she liked Vivien and got more enthusiastic about the engagement. The engagement was set up a week later. I thought about the couple's ring I had prepared meticulously for Selena, even foolishly asking Vivien to design it. Now, getting engaged to Vivien, I realized I'd prepared nothing. Would she feel uncomfortable about that? Feeling guilty, I said, "I haven't prepared the engagement rings yet. Maybe timing is tight. Can we push the engagement back a bit?" Vivien looked at me blankly. "Don't you already have a set?" I wondered if she was teasing me. "But those are?" She confidently responded, "That's my size." I was bewildered. Vivien calmly repeated, "That's my size." I finally got what she meant and chuckled. "How are you so certain those weren't for my ex? Everyone knows she didn't want to get married. What if she changed her mind? Then you'd just get back together, wouldn't you? You're quite crafty, always feel like you're hiding something from me. That family dinner wasn't coincidental, was it?" Vivien smiled and said, "There's no such thing as coincidences. I found out ages ago. Pretending to play matchmaker for me and my ex was fake too, right? It was real, but I wanted to achieve my goals by retreating first." I gave her a thumbs up. "You really played your cards well. Do you think I have a good chance of winning? Haven't you already won?" Vivien stayed silent. Her silence felt like the calm before a storm. In a bar, Selena was drinking glass after glass of alcohol. If William was here, he'd forcefully yet gently take her home, make her some hangover soup, and ensure she got a good night's sleep. But William wasn't there, and she even heard that he was getting engaged. She always knew William wanted marriage. He gave tons of hints, but she always ignored them. Her parents' marriage was a failure, filled with arguments, violence, money, and manipulation. So, she felt marriage was meaningless, thinking she'd be good to William but just wouldn't marry him. Looking back, she realized it was her wishful thinking. Selena stumbled toward the exit, Gina supporting her. "Miss Selena, where are you going?" "To find William." Gina dropped Selena off outside William's villa. It was raining lightly. Gina handed Selena an umbrella and quickly ducked back into the car. I watched Selena stand in the rain, and I called Gina to tell her to come get Selena. But Gina said she was too scared. An hour later, I walked downstairs and stood in front of her. She stumbled and fell into my arms, heavily sighing my name. "William." I pushed her away forcefully. She barely managed to keep her balance, but the umbrella fell. She stood there soaked by the rain, her hair getting wet, rain dripping down her face, even making her eyelashes tremble. I tried to reason with her. "Selena, I used to love you, but I have my limits. I begged you to come to the family dinner, but you ignored it. Now I don't need it. Who are you being dramatic for? Selena, wouldn't it be more dignified to break up gracefully?" I picked up the umbrella, handed it back to her, and walked away. Behind me, Selena shouted, "William, I'm not giving up." On the day of my engagement, I was about to exchange rings with Vivien. Suddenly, the door swung open and Selena walked in wearing a wedding dress and carrying a bag. I recognized that dress. I helped her choose it at the bridal shop, but back then, she couldn't care less. Selena looked at me on stage with deep emotion, lifted the bag, and called out, "William, can you give me one more chance?" Backing out now would mean endless trouble, but Selena seemed to be taking a desperate gamble. She was reducing my guilt. "William, don't worry, Just come to me. I'll handle everything. I was about to speak when Vivien took my arm. Miss Selena is here for the celebration, right? But don't think about taking my husband. The 100 or so guests fell silent, watching the unfolding drama. Security was closing in and my reaction seemed to steer the plot's direction. I looked at Selena, as if across a vast divide. I told security to seat my friend elsewhere. Selena refused their touch, offered a chilling smile at me. Vivien kept me close by her side, glaring at Selena like she was guarding a prized possession. Vivien motioned for the ceremony to continue as romantic music played again. Selena lit a cigarette, taking slow puffs. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw her engulfed in smoke, looking frustrated, regretful, but resigned. As Vivien and I kissed, she turned and left, filled with endless loneliness. It quickly became a joke in social circles. The story went that Miss Selena tried to crash a wedding but failed. Even though it was our happy engagement, Vivien drank more than she should have. I stumbled with her to our new room. I intended to help her into bed but found myself pushed down instead. Hovering over me, even drunk she was assertive. "William, you're mine. From now on, no one can take you from me." Her warm skin pressed close as she said passionately, "William, let's get our marriage license tomorrow." I felt like I was riding a wave, drifting, my mind short-circuiting. "You mean before the wedding?" Vivien scooted even closer. "It's been too long. I'm scared." Vivien suddenly laughed. "Scared of what?" "Of losing you." I never imagined Vivien to be so intense, like a summer storm. Usually, her feelings were cautiously guarded, occasionally testing the waters, ultimately swallowing her hurt alone. Like when she found out I liked Selena, she asked if Selena and she both fell into water, who would I save? I thought she was asking about love versus friendship. To me, there was no comparison. I laughed. "Don't both of you know how to swim? Would you really need me to save you?" She giggled and scratched her head. "Maybe not." And that was it. If she had been bolder, things might have been less complicated. Our situation became gossip, so to lay low, I decided to go abroad with Vivien for a while. I looked at Vivien, who was secretly delighted. "You should express your feelings more boldly. It would save us a lot of trouble." Vivien paused. "Right now, I really want to kiss you. May I?" I almost spat out my milk. "No need to be so blunt." I stared blankly, not moving. Vivien wiped her lips. "Then can I sit on your lap?" She lifted my chin, making me look at her, and planted a long, warm kiss. "William, I've loved you for as long as I can remember. Do you love me?" "Course I love you." Vivien's smile grew wider. An even more heart-stirring kiss followed, making my heart thunder like a drum.